Please greet with me on the stage Oliver Lange, H&M Beyond. H&M Beyond is the innovation lab of H&M. Thomas, there's no need to introduce him. He introduced himself. There's Konstantin Urs, who is the former COO and CPO of Mark Kane, but from Bogelshausen, he went to the Metaverse and is now running a recruitment agency called Metaheads. And then there's yeah, okay. Well, I can keep my water, please.
I hold it, please.
And then there's Hakan, of course. Hakan is the head of the Listener Group, a curated e-commerce platform. But foremost, he's a jack of all trades with inexhaustible talents, and he creates digital art as well. And of course, he's also on the road in the Metaverse. So first of all, I like to, because you mentioned your mother, that you want to hang out with your mother in the Metaverse. First of all, I'd like, oh, Beata, I forgot you, I'm so sorry. And there's Beata Wilzcek. She's head of impact at Dematerialised, a Web3. We were just talking about Web2. Now here's Web3 market space that sells virtual goods and NFTs.
Great to hear.
So coming back to Thomas's mother, she wants to hang around in the Metaverse, you said. First of all, I'd like to know, how do you explain your mothers what you do professionally?
Mom, I make your internet experience more beautiful. Because I've, yeah.
Okay.
That
Oliver.
was for your mother.
I can't even explain it to my 6-year-old. So, I mean, I would say basically with H&M Beyond, what I love doing is dreaming, exploring, testing, and creating products and services in and around the fashion industry, to create a better tomorrow by doing that. That's what at least keeps me awake in the night.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually would say to my mother, first I tried explaining her what blockchain was, so we failed massively.
You failed?
Yeah, we failed a little bit, but when I'm asked that question, I say that I'm interested in building projects for inclusive and sustainable fashion and Web3. So I would say if we have problems with overproduction, overconsumption, and waste and toxicity in fashion, how do we actually grow from that and use new technologies to make it different?
Urs.
Yeah, I would tell her, or I told her, that I'm looking for the right people for companies for their key positions to be able to go into the metaverse, and especially creating content will be the key in the moment to being able to be in the metaverse.
So I don't need to tell my mom anything. She knows very well who I am and what I can do. And she once said to me last time when we was on vacation, she said, "Hey, son, world is changing, right? And we need to change as well." I said, "No, mom, you don't need to change at all. Stay as you are." And the world have been changed so many years ago. So we try to adapt. My mom knows me very well. And she knows very well that I am an extremely talent to bring the right things and right people together. And I have a cross-matching working mind. So that's why I don't need to pitch at my mom. But she is as she are, and I will stay as I am.
But I think you all know where I'm going. I think
Yes.
from all your answers, it's quite clear that the answer is not easy. And it's not easy to understand. At the same time, and especially maybe not for the generation of our mothers, because we're talking about a virtual world and not a physical world. And there is all this hype that is created. So there's a lot going on in the metaverse. At the same time, there's also a lot we also have a lot of issues. Technical issues you just mentioned, we have legal issues, we have plenty, and we have like understanding issues too. Thomas, how do you separate the issues or the hype from the real possibilities? I mean, you were talking about, you know, how sales can be created, how this, but how do you separate this possibility or business opportunity and leave the hype behind?
Yeah. And this, I think, is one of the most important questions to discuss in this context in 2022, in particular in those right now, as we see, for example, the entire crypto world breaking, right? Or at least parts of it. And what we need to be aware of that there has been a lot of hype around certain NFT and crypto projects the last couple of 12 months. This may not all of this has substance. But what does have substance is a completely new $8 trillion market opportunity in a new iteration of the internet that enterprises can tap into with new business models for marketing purposes, to reach their customers in a completely new way, to sell digital fashion that doesn't need to be produced, from sourcing to waste, and to make human communication in the digital space more beautiful, actually. And this has substance, this will sustain.
Okay, but there are several metaverses. There's not only one, which makes this thing even more complicated. And maybe, Urs, you can shed a light on what kind of philosophies and metaverses exist. And also, if we have all these metaverses, maybe one day we have one, I don't know. You're looking for the people who create this new world. What kind of people are you looking for, or which skills do we need for the metaverse now?
Yeah, as you said, or as you already mentioned in your speech, there's not the one metaverse in the moment. Actually, there's not at all one in the moment. It's just going to be built, and it's built by people who are very enthusiastic on the one side, and on the other side there's big tech companies building parts, and so there's definitely two big philosophies clashing. The one side is the decentralized, Web3-based, blockchain-based part of the metaverse, let's say like this, where everybody owns his own data and is the master of his own data. And on the other hand, it's the centralized companies like Meta, for example, where big tech companies harvest user data in the end to make money. And this will definitely clash one day. And that's the main topic which has to be, everybody has to decide for himself, where he wants to have his data, decentralized or centralized. And looking at people to build the metaverse, we had...
Are you looking for people for both kinds of metaverses?
In the end, yes.
Yeah.
In the end, it's all about content. Content is more important than ever in the future, in the Web3, in the metaverse. And we have the slogan at the Metaheads: no content, no sales. No people, no content, no sales. Yeah. So if you don't have the right people, if you don't have people at all to create this content, you are in a big mess. And since all this is changing so rapidly, you need people with a high soft skills, a high amount of soft skills like openness to new things. They need to be very agile. They need to be very dynamic and to catch up with the high speed we already have. Yeah? And the speed will stay high. And that's why soft skills, in my opinion, will be the most important skill because like programming languages, all this will change constantly. So to being able to catch up with the high speed, this will be the most important skill.
I would assume that, first of all, you need technical support and technicians rather than people who are curious.
No, of course, you need to have the
especially
hard skills.
Especially as we are all facing these technical issues at the moment.
Of course, you need to have the hard skills, but being able to catch up with the changes, the soft skills, in my opinion, are more important because your hard skills today will be old in 5 years.
Hakan, you have enough soft skills to enter the metaverse. Why do you think the metaverse, or do you think the metaverse is a real alternative to the physical world?
I don't think that metaverse is an alternative, is a cumulative to the world where we are. But on the other hand, it's also a big chance to the economy and the commerce and the life we are living to establish a global regulation. Because I'm with the guys, definitely. It's about community, yes. It's always about content, yes. It's of course technology, yes, but the technology is more commutative. You know, you have that. Technology is there, and technology will grow. It will not, be old in 5 years because it needs to be agile and amorph and grow. But what is really a great thing, in my opinion, and a big chance for all of us. I mean, we have here sitting, I see there are customers of us, retailers, brands, buyers, publishers, artists, and legal compliance. I'm just looking around. And I think the ecosystem is so complex at the moment, and we're living in a world where not the big one eat the small one, the fast one eat the slow one, and the data is everything. I mean, no doubt about that. Data is our biggest asset. And we live in a world where data get kind of monopolized from imperialist companies, let's say. I'd say it a little bit extreme. And I need to go over these guys, let's say Meta, to post something to my community. I need to pay them during they use my data. So if you have, for me, is one of the most important thing in the metaverse. Of course, you need great experience. Of course, you need to have the right community. Of course, you need to have fucking great content to make sales. But the biggest thing what a lot of people really miss, it's the regulatory of the things. You need to, if you don't have standard globally to make regulations and compliance to say, hey, you're sitting on Barbados and have a multi-billion company. I mean, I make also so business, but I pay my fucking taxes. So, and why you are not paying if you are using my data and selling me fucking stuff and you are spending those?
I mean, the topic of this talk is...
It's a serious thing. I mean, it's no joke, you know?
I mean, it is serious.
And let me finish, please.
Please.
Okay. And the thing is, there's the cloud and there's the physical world. We don't have, we are already going to solve problems over there during we have so much problems down here. So I think there need to get the balance right. You need all the value chain, serious people who are experts in their fields to have a seamless, really covering touch points to cover all our interests, to say if somebody is coming and want to join and have our economy, he need to pay something. And Metaverse is the biggest chance for the world that we can stand up for our rights and say, hey, we want to have regulations. If you want to have my community and my data, you need to pay for it. And we need to have people. I see Jan over there. Hi, Jan. He's one of the, I must say, for me, one very important player in the industry. They make regulations for the interests of the artists, of the brands, of the retailers, of the people.
So how can you saying that, I mean, the topic of this talk is Metaverse top or flop. You're saying challenge.
It's a fucking
You're saying
challenge.
C. You
It's
say
the
challenge,
first
not
time
top or
in
flop.
my life, I'm 25 years in the industry, and I see the first time since digitalization is there that we have a chance to stand up, reach our hand, and find a global standard for this thing. Some people make great content, some people are great in communication for the community, but you need people also who regulate your interests on a financial and on a legal level, that you have a standard out there. If I have an interaction with my buddies from South, whatever, down under or US, then we have sharing something. And imagine, we come from a world, there's commission and margin, buying and selling, and give me commission, I have 10% from this, 5% from this. We are in subscription, affiliation, kickback, recurring fees, IP rights, and so on. How the fuck you can, no retailer can cover this. No brand or direct-to-consumer person can cover this. And the big ones, Oli, sorry, but also the corporates, they have so much compliance regulations, they have fear about to touch this shit. So they say, no, I don't want to have to do something with that. So is there anyone who can make it package for me, proof of concept, and give it to me? So they need some people who are sick in head, have some genetic defect, and know and want to, embrace the challenge to make the difference out there.
So let's talk to Beata about that.
Yeah, like that.
Thank you.
Good
That's
luck.
a great introduction.
Sorry, Franziska.
Franzi.
Franzi.
Anna.
Anna, Franziska. Can we have also some Campari on the stage, or because I'm finished today?
We had one.
Okay. Let's switch to Beata, because you were just talking about the people who just who have a defect and just go for it. And you're head of impact at Dematerialised.
Yes, this is how we identify of people working with sustainability and impact as potentially with some hopeful defect, because we believe that things can be changed, and it's definitely a driving force. As you said, this is something that keeps you going at work. For me, I would say the same. Without it, it would be impossible. So yeah, defect or not, definitely there's something in it. I think what is important when we talk about, even here, because we're thinking specifically about brands and creators entering the space, I think when we're thinking about this, how to enter and how to come in, there are a few things that we always need to remember. One is community, and this is the word that's very much exploited now. In the past, communities used to be, target audiences on Facebook for advertising, or who's gonna buy what. But there were also people like anthropologists, sociologists, studying digital humanities and thinking how people behave in digital environment. Now we're all interested in that. Now we need to know, because those communities, they're different, they desire different things, and they also have different values. This is the second component. We need to know what are their values and how they shape and consume culture, because this is also changing. The next aspect, let me think, because I had 4 on my list. What was it? The next one is transparency in labor. This is something at Dematerialised that we are very passionate about, because one thing that we are not discussing enough when we think about digital fashion is social sustainability. We talk a lot about NFTs and environmental impact, rightfully so. This is a very important topic. But as we know, fashion revolution poses the question, who made my clothes? We are trying now to answer the question, who made my digital clothes? Because both with digital labor and with fashion labor, there's no transparency, there's no data. And data here is the key. So what we are working on now at the Dematerialised is called Real, because we believe digital fashion is real. And we're creating a digital labor fashion transparency standard, because we hope the standard will also be later taken forward. So transparency is that element. And lastly, I think there is also responsibility. There's a lot of potential. Big numbers were shared here. There's a new market to tap into, as you said. But thinking also, what is the environmental impact is really crucial, because there's a lot of conversations, also regulations coming in that space. So I think there's a duty, and I hope there will be more advisors being onboarded and more research companies that provide the data. What is the environmental footprint? What is the actual impact? Because this information is being collected as we speak now. Those reports are coming only in 2022 because it's also so very, very new. So please, for people who are skeptical, some patience, but there's like a lot of work going on.
We're talking about sustainability. I mean, we're here on a fashion fair and in a system of systemic overproduction. Oliver, this question goes to you.
Yes, I thought so.
Yes. I mean, if we're talking about overproduction and overconsumption, now we're building another world on top that is coming to our virtual, to our physical world. Isn't this just when we consume in the metaverse, when we buy Beata's digital fashion, for example, or Hakan's digital art, isn't that just another way of consuming even more? Or can it really be a sustainable alternative?
I mean, that's a very complex question, but I'll try to answer. Hey, Stefano. Just a comparison.
Stefano, you're the master. Thank you,
Okay,
Stefano.
there's even applause for
Stefano,
Campari.
Standing ovations for Stefano. Sorry. Mille grazie, mille grazie.
Oh my
Piacere,
goodness, I didn't
piacere.
expect that. Thank you. Crazy
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Now it's more fun. We can make another slot. Extend this.
Something you cannot have in the metaverse, by the way.
Yes.
Cheers.
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 I love you. Thank
I
you
think
very
Oliver's
much,
just
Anna.
hoping not to have to answer this question.
Oh, no. I dare to. I dare to. First of all, I love fashion, and many people do. I mean, if we look at what fashion creates as a value for people, it's a form of expression. It's a form of showing who I am, who I want to be. So fashion has a value itself, right? Over the years, and what we believe, or at least my assumption is that no matter in which reality you are in, you want to have a representation of who you are, and you take care about this. But there is some more freedom in the virtual experience world, right? When you look at your avatar, I mean, does the avatar need to look exactly like I do today? Maybe not. Maybe there's way more possible. Maybe I'm not myself and I'm someone else, right? So, but I think people will care still about how they look and how they are perceived in the other realities. So I would say fashion has a value. So yes, I think the business that Thomas also showed, right? I mean, it's also seriously a business for the fashion brands, and you see that, especially the luxury brands, they are already creating turnover all the way, right? While other big companies are just
H&M is not yet,
starting.
right?
No, we are not yet exactly, because I also would.
They start with the luxury next year.
Yes, I prefer another way. Even I would say. Start with your core competence, your core product, and start with your credibility you have. So in my perspective, I would feel a little bit strange if we would have like NFTs out there created by us. Then I would rather prefer a community approach, saying that give the stage to fantastic creators, and they can meet our people and our customers, right? That would be more credible as a first step. But coming back to the question, I feel the technology part of what we discussed today is so rapidly developing, is exponentially developing, and is giving answers to the traditional retail industry already now. The whole digital design of fashion, right? Everything we learn, every tools that are created, every technology of that can have an effect on the traditional way of producing. And I will make two examples. One is, for example, on demand. So on demand, production is one of the biggest answers on the future challenges in production, right, in fashion. So now imagine you have digital fashion out there in the virtual world, and people look at it, and people have a feeling for it, and they can say if they like it or not, right? And you take this as a decision on what needs to be really produced for the physical world, right? So you have a built-in filter for not everything needs to be produced pre. You also can talk to people in the virtual world and get the feeling for what do they really want in the physical world. And on-demand is already decreasing CO2 emissions and all of that a lot, right? Fashion industry, second biggest polluting industry in the world when it comes to CO2 emissions. So high impact, right? So that's one answer, on demand, as well as if we look at the industry, how we are currently producing garments and how we sample how we sample, right? The whole sampling of garments that are to be produced or not to be produced is 30% of all the CO2 emissions. And now imagine if you would cut the whole physical sampling process and you would say, who needs physical sampling anymore? Who needs to cut something, sew it, send it somewhere, talk about it, and send it back? Can you just take like the new digital virtual environments, the digital fashion for collaboration, also in creating new designs, right? It will make the process way quicker, more efficient, and if you base this on what people really want, then it has a dramatic impact, I would say, on the traditional model. So, and therefore, we would really substantially cut CO2 emissions. So if you compare a digital garment with a physical one, you know how much CO2 emissions are in the physical garment? Do you know that? It's 97% less CO2 emissions in a digital garment. So from a sustainability aspect, only looking at the fashion item, I would say that's for sure a way more sustainable thing for people that enjoy showing who they are and who they want to be. So we will see consumption in the virtual world. We will see digital fashion in that world, but it will have such a great effect on the physical aspect of it that I guess it's a part of the answer on how can the fashion industry become more sustainable, because also not everything people buy has a long-lasting value. Sometimes people buy just for one occasion, and then it gets stuck in the wardrobe, right? And then some people even throw away what they have worn one time. And this is all the aspects where I feel we will learn a lot in that virtual behavior and virtual world, and it will have an effect on our physical consumption, and the technology we have and we are developing will dramatically impact the whole way of producing stuff. So I'm a true believer that this will happen.
So are you saying that people will buy not more just because they will probably make a share of virtual and physical goods? Or will there be, I mean, in the end, more consuming of whatever is more impact, even if it's less impact? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if the question is the only answer would be consuming less is the answer on everything, right? So then I'm not so sure how the metaverse will do that, because
I think we all cannot know.
Yes.
It's hypothetical to say. Is the budget for every person for fashion, will it remain the same, or will they spend more because there is more? We don't know.
I mean,
yeah, Urs, you're not.
Yeah.
His micro is not working.
I'm sure it will increase consumption.
Urs's microphone is not.
I'm sure it will increase consumption. It will not change from physical to digital. The digital topic is a totally separate topic, and there is huge turnover already done today. If you just think of the gaming topic, there's millions of skins and items and accessories sold already, so it's already big business. And it didn't change anything in the turnover or amount of things being sold physical. If there is a decrease in the physical world, it is then hopefully by understanding that we have a real topic. Yeah? Since if you look at the production of but actually, we're shifting in the topic. But if you look at the
very important one,
if you look at the production, you can also say overproduction. It is rapidly increasing since 1995. This is when the quota stopped, and actually, this is the year when fast fashion was born, 1995, because all the quotas were cancelled, and this has to be changed, but it won't be related to how many digital clothes is sold in the metaverse. But I think it will be on top, and then we have, in my opinion, another problem, because yes, you're right, it's 97% reduction in CO2, but if I'm right, it will be on top. this 3 to 5%.
But it's very, very good point what Beata said and also Oliver said, that sustainability starts with the on-demand production is not to deliver only the consumer what he wished to. On-demand production also helps you on predictive data. Sustainability start if you don't produce shit what you put in sale. So it's very interesting for me to see when is the first corporate, especially in the verticals, at that point that they don't offer sale and produce things what really is able to be covered. There starts sustainability for me. And with the Meta also, the consumer wants to see what they are ordering, where it comes from, and that they have an opportunity to say, do I do it now order on the local supplier last mile, or do I go to any of the platforms? I don't want to blame anyone, that's why I don't say names, that it comes around the globe to my economy. And one thing what is virtual fashion very good, we have a project with PVH company. So imagine such a company, a big global company, produces 500,000 samples a year to services, B2B customers. So this company, by the way, you respect this, invested into technologies to make virtual showrooms to reduce 80% of the need of the samples because their customers have so much trust and it's convenient. This means 400,000 pieces lesser need of samples to service your network in the B2B business. That's why I think predictive data also there and the virtual fashion to help to get an understanding about the aesthetics, etc. and all the way. But there is no blueprint to say, yeah, virtual fashion now release physical and etc. But I very much love if you think about all the value chain, and digital helps you to have a footprint about where it comes, how it's measured. You know, you put your trousers down and you stay naked there, and then we see who is, strong and cool enough and has bold and have, courage and character. That is what I like very much interest. So I would like to put some trousers down the next time, period.
Looking at the horizon and into the future of Metaverse, when maybe the technical issues will be solved. Do you think that virtual mass production or consumption is possible?
Virtual mass production?
Yeah,
actually, the virtual
for virtual goods. For virtual goods.
Yeah, but staying virtual, it's the opportunity to be high individual. So if you're virtual, you don't. It is, in my sense, it's not making sense to go to
virtual only.
No, let's put it this way: will the masses?
Virtual only is not making sense, but also to mass production in virtual, because then the value is not there. If my
not yet.
If my NFT or virtual clothes is there 10 million times, it's worth nothing.
No, but will it be mainstream? Will Metaverse in 5 years from now? She was referring to several communities. These communities all exist in the existing world too. So, and if Metaverse will be a top and not a flop, yeah, and in 5 years the issues will be solved, maybe the legal issues, technical issues, then everyone is in fact consuming in the Metaverse, or what is your prediction?
So the people who will consume in Metaverse are people who have access to digital tools. So we still have a massive digital divide and a gap, those who have access and who don't. So it's also a question how to onboard people, because access to internet is a human right actually now. Many things are, it's one of them. So it's a question who has access to partake in digital and creative economy that's enabled by internet. And when we are saying if it's top or flop, basically it's a process. And I wouldn't say that there are technical issues, there are iterations, and there are attempts, and there are trials and errors. And as we saw with Web 2, it also wasn't that it just landed like, boom, here it is, this is how we consume now, this is e-commerce. This was also in development. So this is a process of progression, like we saw on your slide today. So as this is progressing, it's just shifting, it's just changing. This is how digital acceleration and innovation exists and how it improves itself. So I don't know if it's going to be in 5 years, if I were personally to say, but I say it will definitely proceed because there are certain estimates, we see certain behaviors. We're sitting here talking about it. So I
But do you
think these
think
are
the
good
people
validators.
in this room, will they all have a virtual product in 5 years from now?
Well, we would have to first define virtual product, but whoever bought here anything based on just a photo on e-commerce website already kind of gave in into buying a product that just have a flat visual JPEG representation. So this is not such a unique transaction anymore. And also, I presume there's more than one person that owns an NFT in this audience or on the stage.
Yeah.
Hakan, what do you think?
I mean, it's already no discussion anymore that everything will be maybe, not maybe, definitely. You create leads down on Earth, the engagement happens on the cloud. So the future of retail, if the whole world is changing in a service platform, you know, that you are not the owner, the brand is the owner. Brands want to have control. So what they want to have, they want to have your community, the micro communities, they want to have your creativity, they want to have, that you are the enabler for the brands, and they purchase. So you can, as a consumer, choose, I want to have it, bring it to my car, bring it with the bike to my hotel, send it over, you know, and there are so many opportunities for the people. And I think it's also very, very good opportunity with the virtual fashion. Everybody will have his avatar. What will help also, you have your ID. So you, dear guy, you over there, you don't need to look Armani because Armani have always, you know, the slim fits. You get automatically showed only the things what fits to your proportion. And with augmented reality, this is one of the most things I believe, not only the glass, you know, that you are in the virtual world, that you have the augmented reality to have a filter between the real and the digital, that you can combine them, and you have the opportunity to wear things without having them. And then this gives to your supplier the chance, or even you the chance, that you don't even order them to send it back, because logistics is creating the biggest CO2. 80% of the logistics in our cities are created by logistics, by shipment, e-commerce into our cities, because it's not delivered by a biker, it's delivered because so many sub-suppliers. So that's why I think it's very, very, very important to have a virtual avatar, have in social media, everybody have somewhere an account, at least, you know, Insta, Tinder next time, so this kind of things. But you need to be a digital twin. Doesn't matter if you are a retailer, commerce, or content creator, you will, or a person, you will have a digital twin. You need, and we are forming it. There's no blueprint. You know, tomorrow somebody can come with an innovation. You say, everybody walk there, and you say, oh, it's even better, we walk this side. So we don't know that. We will see what will come, but you will have a digital twin either way.
And I, as the moderator, unfortunately have to end this talk because
No.
they're giving me signs from, oh yeah. We continue
I
our
wanted to
drink
order
over
another
there.
round. Just starting.
No, I thank you all. I think this topic is, well, needed way more time to discuss all the angles. But anyway, I think we made a beginning.
So let's
Got
meet in
it.
5 years.
Let's speak in 5 years here at this conference.
In 5 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
great,
very
thanks.
much.
Thank you very much.
So much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers, Olli.